Okay, so now we're handing out Ozempic like after dinner meds. And I keep asking myself, why are we racing to be skinny again? I lived through this already, through the 80s and the 90s and the low fat everything. Remember Snackwell cookies? Yeah, I could eat a whole box. Step aerobics until you couldn't walk. And this constant gnawing feeling that no matter what you did, you were not good enough. So here we are in 2026, and we've got a new version, different packaging, same pressure. And today, we're going to really dig into what's going on. All right, so let's get into it. Here is what we are covering today. First, can somebody please tell me why skinny is back? What the hell is happening culturally? Second, what GLP-1 drugs actually do, the benefits, the side effects, and what we don't know yet, why your metabolism has stalled, and why a peptide is not going to fix it. And finally, what actually works, how to support your body's own GLP-1 production through ketosis, fasting, morning sunlight, sleep, and your endocannabinoid system. This is not medical advice, so you want to talk to your clinician. Let's get into it. I grew up in the diet culture before we even called it the diet culture. The 80s and 90s, the message was super clear. Fat is bad, carbs are fine, exercise more, eat less. If you're not losing weight, it's your fault and you're not trying hard enough. I grew up in diet culture before we even called it that. The 80s, the 90s, the message was clear. Fat is bad, carbs are fine, exercise more, eat less, and if you're not losing weight, you're not trying hard enough. I did all of that. Low fat everything. Probably most days ate a salad for lunch and not much else. Running until my body could not run anymore. I did it all. 6 step classes a week, spin classes on top of that, running on top of that, and whatever I could fit in between, a bike ride, a walk, counting every calorie, punishing myself for eating a cookie. And you know what? It didn't work. Not long term, because nobody told me that low fat, high carb, high sugar approach was constantly spiking my glucose, that I was exercising myself into exhaustion, or that my body was so completely stressed out, my cortisol was extremely high, and it was losing its mind. Different decade, same pressure. Now, look at where we are. Diet culture, it just rebrands. Low fat started becoming clean eating. Clean eating turned into high protein. High protein became injections. The before and after photos are everywhere. Celebrities are suddenly just eating better. And social media rewards thinness like it's some kind of moral achievement. I recognize this pressure. I know how it hijacks the brain, the promise of finally being enough, the fantasy of control, and the relief that maybe this time this will fix it. But here's what I've learned. There's always something new. There's always something to make us feel like we're not enough. Always. Okay, so let's talk about what GLP-1s actually do. GLP-1s are a receptor agonist. They work slowly by emptying the stomach and reducing your appetite. They also improve your blood sugar control, and that's how they drive weight loss. For some people, they are genuinely helpful, especially for diabetes management. But that same mechanism that creates those benefits also creates the side effects. Stuff like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, constipation, bloating, fatigue, dizziness. Some people feel too weak to exercise or work normally. There's even more serious risks like gallstones or pancreatitis or kidney issues, especially from dehydration, hair thinning. And the FDA is currently reviewing reports of depression and suicidal thoughts. In the long term, we seriously do not know. Beyond about 4 years, the data is really limited. And here's the part that really gets me. When you stop, just like any diet, the weight comes back. People feel stuck, like they can't ever get off. I'm not saying don't take them. I'm saying, is this addressing the root cause, or is this treating the symptom while the root cause keeps running in the background? But here's what I want you to hear. There is nothing wrong with you. Your body is not broken. It's responding to chronic stress. It's responding to inflammation. It's responding to insulin resistance. And that combination of insulin resistance and inflammation are two core drivers. And when you're in perimenopause or menopause, it gets amplified all over the place. Your estrogen starts to shift and it changes your insulin sensitivity. Cortisol from stress makes it even worse. And sleep disruption compounds everything. So then your metabolism starts to stall and you really don't feel like yourself. And then you have this pressure to look the part of being relentless. And somebody offers you a quick fix. But a GLP-1 isn't going to fix your insulin resistance. It's not going to fix your chronic stress. It's not going to fix your inflammation. It is going to suppress your appetite while all that keeps running underneath. And we're not addressing the root cause. What if we address the root cause instead? Before I get into what works, let me clear a couple of things up. You have probably heard, I do, and it exhausts me, eat more protein. Protein is protective. Protein will fix your metabolism. Here's the problem. High protein isn't protective when your insulin is broken. When you're insulin resistant, excess protein, especially in the morning when your cortisol is starting to spike, converts to glucose through a process called glucogenesis. It raises your insulin, it disrupts your satiety signaling, and the very thing that's supposed to help you feel full ends up working against you. So what actually works instead? Your body has its own GLP-1 activity, its own satiety signal, its own glucose regulation. That's how our bodies are designed. That's how they're made. The question is, how do we support it instead of override it? So let's start with ketosis. I personally used to think ketosis was a diet. Keto was a diet. And you know how when there's a new diet fad, you start to see diet foods come on the shelf, like the Snackwell cookies in the 90s. And I just learned over the last couple years through going through menopause, understanding that my estrogen was shifting, understanding that my cortisol was shifting, that my insulin was shifting. And I learned that ketosis is not a diet. It's a metabolic condition or a metabolic state that you could put your body into. So when you restrict carbohydrates, your body starts to switch from burning glucose to burning fat for fuel. And your liver converts fatty acids into ketone bodies, which helps your brain, your heart, and your muscles use that for energy. And the fascinating thing is consuming fats without, and let me be clear, without significant carbohydrates naturally increases your GLP-1 levels, and your body starts to produce its own appetite regulating signals when you're in the state of ketosis. But the real goal is not to stay in ketosis forever. The goal is to get into a state of metabolic or the goal is to get metabolic flexibility. That ability to seamlessly switch between burning glucose and burning fat, depending on what's available. And this is how your body was designed to work. When you're metabolically flexible, your body is not panicking when food isn't immediately available. You don't get the crashes, you don't get the cravings, you don't get the constant hunger signals, that food noise that everybody talks about, that GLP-1s turn off. You don't get the constant hunger signals that drive you to overeat. And research shows that ketosis improves insulin sensitivity, reduces inflammation, and can lower your fasting blood glucose by over 1 milliliter. The insulin required to metabolize a ketogenic meal is almost 10 times less than a standard meal. And there's no drug doing that. It's your body doing what it's designed to do if you give it the right conditions. All right, let's transition over into fasting, because I know fasting is something that everybody talks about. And I want to be clear. Fasting is not about restricting your eating to a certain window, like a 16-8 or a every other day or one meal a day or whatever the latest trend is. Fasting is about getting into ketosis. That's the goal. That's the metabolic switch. When you fast long enough to deplete your glycogen stores, your body flips that switch and starts to burn fat, which signals your liver to start producing ketones. And something remarkable happens. Your body's own satiety and glucose regulating signals start to work properly again. And there's a lot of research out there that shows that fasting triggers a cascade of benefits, including improved insulin sensitivity. It reduces your inflammation. It gets you into a state of autophagy where your body starts to clean up its damaged cells and you start to have better mitochondrial function. Look, there's no magic number of hours. The point is to fast until you're in ketosis. For some people, that might be 18 hours. For others, it might be 24. For others, it might be 36. It really depends on your metabolic health and your metabolic condition. And here's the thing. Once you're metabolically flexible, fasting gets easier because your body knows how to burn fat. It's not scary. It's not hard. It's just your body doing what it's designed to do. Fasting plus ketosis is one of the fastest ways to restore metabolic flexibility and support your body's own GLP activity. All right, so here's the thing that costs nothing and takes 15 minutes. Get outside, get the free red light therapy at sunrise. No glasses, no contacts. Get that morning light. Morning sunlight does something so powerful. When that light hits your eyes, it's signaling to your brain to start suppressing the melatonin, elevate your cortisol, the good cortisol, the wake-up cortisol, the healthy kind that gives you energy and focus. And research shows that when you have morning light exposure, it could increase your cortisol by over 50%, which I know it sounds bad until you realize that that's what's supposed to happen. That morning spike sets your entire circadian rhythm for the day. And here's how it connects to your metabolism. Morning light helps regulate insulin sensitivity. your leptin and your ghrelin, which is your hunger hormones, and even your thyroid function. When your circadian rhythm is off, your metabolism suffers. Morning light boosts serotonin production, which later converts to melatonin for better sleep. And it also supports your vitamin D when the light hits your skin. 15 to 20 minutes, no sunglasses, no contacts, no sunscreen. It's one of the most underrated things that you could do for your metabolism, for your mood, for your sleep. Trust me, I have done this. It works. I made a commitment last year to walk every single day at sunrise, regardless of the temperature, and I bundle my ass up and I get out there. All right, the non-negotiable sleep. Protect your sleep at all costs. I mean that when you don't sleep, everything breaks down. Cortisol goes up. Insulin resistance gets worse. Your hunger hormones go haywire. Your cravings spike. Your body literally cannot regulate itself without sleep. Sleep disruption affects your endocannabinoid system as well. And research shows that when sleep is restricted, your circulating endocannabinoids start to get dysregulated, which your endocannabinoids is the master regulator of your mood, your craving, your motivation, your stress, your pain. And your body can't respond. And you can't out supplement, out exercise, or out diet poor sleep. It's the foundation of everything. It's the foundation everything is built on. And let's talk about how all of these connect together and why your endocannabinoid system works through this whole process. Your endocannabinoid system is a network of receptors throughout your entire body. It regulates your mood, your appetite, your stress response, your pain, your inflammation, your sleep, your immune function. Harvard Medical calls it critical for almost every aspect of our moment-to-moment functioning. We're going to call it ACS for short. Your ACS maintains homeostasis, balance, and when something stresses your body, your ACS helps restore the equilibrium. But here's the problem. Chronic stress, poor sleep, and inflammation all disrupt your endocannabinoid system. And when it's out of balance, everything can feel harder. So your cravings get stronger, your mood gets unstable, motivation drops, sleep suffers. And let's talk about menopause. When estrogen drops, it directly affects your endocannabinoid function, which is partly why mood and sleep and appetite regulation feels so chaotic during this transition. The things that we have talked about, ketosis, fasting, morning light, sleep, they all support your endocannabinoid system. They reduce inflammation. They regulate cortisol. They restore balance. When your endocannabinoid system is functioning properly, your body can start to regulate itself. And that is the ultimate goal. Not overriding your body's signals with some drug, but supporting your body so it could do what it's designed to do. Here's where I land. I've lived through one version of diet culture: low fat, high cardio, exercise until exhaustion. Now it's high protein, GLP-1s, different package, same pressure. There's always going to be something new to make us feel like we're not enough. There's always a fix being sold, but your body, it's not broken. It's responding to stress, inflammation, insulin resistant, and a little peptide isn't going to fix all of that. But with the right systems, ketosis for metabolic flexibility, fasting to flip the switch, morning sunlight, to set your rhythm, sleep to protect everything, and supporting your endocannabinoid system, you could bring your body back to balance. So if you're in perimenopause and menopause and mood and brain fog and sleep are the real issues that you're dealing with, Hello Again might be a supportive tool worth exploring. That's what we're here for. If this resonated with you, drop a comment. Tell me what version of diet culture you've lived through. I would love to hear your story. I'm Lisa Williams. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you on the next video.